Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture. In this lecture, we are going to attend to four significant dimensions of religious life, and namely they are sacraments, prayers, festival, and sacrifice. So these are not merely very ceremonial practices, but are also very deeply rooted in uh, the religious life. They are what they they are, as Frege would say, expression of tradition. They are the signs. So they actually represents acts of devotion, acts of transcendence, and the building, the sacred community building which happens in religion. All right. So when we'll study this, what we'll get is how these things sustains and also transforms the religious life. Alright, so let us begin with sacraments. Sacraments are the channels of divine grace and sacred transitions. So, for example, in Christian tradition, and particularly when we are talking about Christian tradition, particularly we are talking about Catholicism and Orthodoxy. If you know, there's Catholicism and Protestantism. Catholicism, what we get in Catholicism is, the sacraments are sacred rites. Sacred rites, not rights, sacred rites. RITES, rites, which is believed to mediate between divine, no, between to mediate divine grace. So it is influenced by theologians such as Augustine and Thomas Aquinas. Sacraments are defined as outward signs of inward grace, of inward belief, and then it marks a very vital stage in a believer's spiritual journey. In Protestant denomination, what we see is it is typically recognize fewer sacraments. There are typically fewer sacraments which are recognized there, and we have baptism in Protestantism. The baptism is recognized as one of the sacrament. If we have to take in Indian context and in consideration, sacraments are most widely represented in in the sacred rites of passage in Hinduism. So, example, the ancient texts such as Gita and the Manusmriti, they describe six major sacraments, and sacraments are called samskars in Hinduism, samskars, and so and when you say 16 major samskars, it's called Shodhasha Samskar. And these 16 major, they sanctify various stages of life, from when you are born to when you die. So from Garbhadan to to your death. And then we have scholars, and they underscore that some scars were not mere customs, but also expression of dharma and vehicles for spiritual upliftment. So for example, we have this particular fellow named Dayanand Saraswati, very famous Dayanand Saraswati. So he was a 19th century reformer, and he emphasized the need of some scar, and he said that it emphasized them as a means to purify body and mind, and when we purify mind and body, we align itself with the divine order. So if you have read about the Anand Saraswati, he was all about going back to Vedas. So that is one thing which was happening. The second aspect which we are going to study is the prayer. Now, what is prayer? Prayer is perhaps the one of the most universal thing, or one of the most universal religious act, and it's a channel through which the individual gets in contact with the divine, with the god, or whatever you want to call it. And prayer, one of the thing is, we often see that prayer is something which is has to be spoken, is vocal. But no, it's not. Prayer may be verbal, or it may also be silent. And prayer, another thing is, it may be formal. It may be formal, or it can also be spontaneous. You can pray anytime you want. uh, uh, so so if we have to talk about in Indian religious context, prayer takes multiple forms. So for example, we have mantras, which are very sacred sounds. Then we have bhajan. Bhajan is also a prayer, but it's a devotional song. It's very happy type of thing, devotional song. And then we also have slokas. Slokas are the verses. Slokas. So they are also prayers, but they are different from bhajan. And then we have jap. When we a repetitive thing, om ram 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 ram. That is also it is usually chanting of a divine name. And then for example, Gayatri mantra, for example, it's not merely recited as as a praise, but as also a meditative invocation towards the cosmic order, a meditation, a link between the cosmic order. And we have the likes of Swami Vivekanand. He emphasized prayer is not a petition, that, oh, please solve this thing, or but as an act of inner transformation. It can be used as an act of inner transformation. And when you do that, you identify yourself with divine. And now that's the concept of Advaita Vedanta, which Swami Vivekananda used to follow. So according to him, prayer cultivates in man, in humans, the will, and it disciplines the emotions, and then with all doing this, purifies the heart. It creates it. So when I say purifies the heart, what I actually mean is that so Swami Vivekananda is speaking through a ideology, or through a dimension, and it's Advaita Vedantic. So when he says that you pray, what is really happening is that uh, you are connecting with the divine itself. And that's why you have this purifying thing of heart, which I just said. But from a scholarly standpoint, there is a certain thinker, Frederick, and he considers prayer as a manifestation of human sense, uh, a human sense of absolute. How a human creates this principle of absolute, creates this principle of divine, creates this principle of people who are beyond beyond our daily conception. And and prayer is used to to connect with that absolute which we have just created. Another thinker is William James. William James is a US, is not US, is a American pragmatist. William James, he's very much famous for his proof of God, about pragmatic proof of God. William James. So he argues that prayers alter the inner world of devotee. And when it does that, when you pray, his basic argument is that when you pray, you feel good. And that's why it's all right to pray. You don't have to give rational justification why you're praying, but it's just as simple as that. I feel good when I pray. And if live and let live type of thing, it's pragmatic. If you feel good, why don't you just do it? And the last thing, yeah, I think the last thing is the festivals. Oh no, not the second last thing. The festivals. Festivals, religious festivals. They are celebrated. They celebrate sacred events related to certain religion, and they try to reenact the stories which has happened in the past, or which is there in the books, which is there in the myth of, or in the tradition. And festivals, they mark a time where there is a transformation in everyone's life from the mundane everyday activities to